Welcome. We are finally here to our first episode of Ignition Zones, where we have created a space for visionary leaders to come and get ignited. I am your host and visionary architect in resident, Jessica Myers. How's it feeling? How's it doing? How you doing? You know what? This is a place where I want to showcase how I've been able to do a lot of deals for years, really for decades. People may not know about my early part of my career, but I came in with just the power of manifestation and networking, and how I turned this into a multi-million-dollar deal and workplace. A lot of people are probably like, yeah, just okay. What are you doing? How do you do it? Well, I'm going to break it down through Ignition Zones. And not only just me, you're going to hear from a lot of my friends that have done a lot of amazing things as well in the industry. I'm talking the top in the industry, some of the best, some of the most notable names that you can see, but to break down the insides of their deals and what makes it work. And really, it just starts with setting a date. Something that simple. Like we can go into the deals, and I'll break down my 4-part formula later on into the episode. But really, start with the date, because I work in career days, right? I go work with kids, and I like talking to them because they are so uninhibited, and they will just tell you everything, how they feel, when they feel, the moment they feel it. They just let it go, right? So working with kids, I learned that I used to take Where's Waldo, right? And I would have this picture, and some of them know who it is and some of them don't. And I'm like, show me where Waldo is. And some of them will actually try to find it, and they'll look, and I'm like, okay, we don't have that kind of time. So I'll show them where it is, and then I'll put the picture back, and I'm like, now point to it. And they point right to it. They're like, there it goes. It's right there. Now, it's the same picture. I didn't switch up pictures. I didn't play any magic. It's the same picture. But they were able to find it once someone pointed it out. Well, that's the power of slowing down with yourself and hearing all of the answers that you need as an entrepreneur and as a visionary leader. Because a lot of times when you're going, it just feels like noise, and you feel like a Where's Waldo? And you're just like, I know my vision is in here somewhere, but I can't find it. I can't put it all together, right? But then that's where I started this thing where I take a pause. Because as a leader, and I meant to ask this to some of my guests, and you'll hear me talk about what leadership is and what leadership really is, because you're at the front of the line and you're having to make the decision of what's next. Now, the leader, it doesn't mean you're behind somebody and you can follow. A lot of times when you're a leader, you're in the front. So I'm talking to visionary leaders, and they're here scoping out the next frontier, or the direction of where their company is to go, the next thing their company is to work on. They're like, well, where do I start? Where do I go? Well, this is how you focus. This is how I break it down into my 4-part series, where we start with discovery. Discovery is where you have the brain dump. Tell me everything of what you want. Because a lot of times we'll have people just start working, right? And then they're working. And then they're looking like, well, I've been doing a lot of work, but I'm getting no closer to a result. And so they get no closer to a result, they quit, they burn out. But if you would have started out, that's like having the gas for a Lamborghini to go to New York, but then you start out and wasting the gas going to Alabama, and then say that you're out of gas in the tank. Okay, first we should establish that we're going to New York. But even before establishing where we're going, we have to understand where we are. So I can head north because I'm south currently, and I need to head north because that's my destination. Now, if I started heading south, we would easily know you're heading in the wrong direction, because we're trying to get to New York, and here we are in Atlanta. But if we were in Canada, heading south would be the right direction, because it's where you're starting from, right? Because I meet people that are starting from different places. So my formula that I use, that I normally plug in to do deals, it's capital, opportunity, and skill set and know-how. With those 3 things, that's how I've been able to do some of the largest deals and some of the smallest deals, right? But if you come across and you're like, well, I'm heading south, but you don't know where you are. So you don't know if you have the capital and you need the opportunity and skill set. You don't know if you have the opportunity and you need the capital and skill set. Or you don't know if you have the skill set, you need the opportunity and capital. So that is the power of understanding where you are. And you do all of this through the discovery zone. The discovery, this is where you're brainstorming and just brain dumping and getting it out there. Like, what am I doing? Where am I going? Where am I? And what are the gaps that I need to fill in? Oh, wait. I know you're in the middle of the episode. I was taking a pause break. But before we get back, be sure to like and subscribe. Ignition Zones, all major platforms. You know, you got it. Let's get it. Get back to the episode. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. And so a lot of times when I sit down with visionary leaders, because a lot of times they may already have a business. You're talking about scaling a new product, like even something like Facebook and Meta, right? It's a huge corporation and a business. But when they decided that they wanted to add videos or they wanted to do Messenger or they wanted to do those things, guess what? They add that new frontier to their company and to their product offering. And so a lot of times visionary leaders may be like, well, I already got a business. Great. But are you willing to come up with a new product offering, a new line, or something that's new, that's still in alignment with what you have, but something innovative? Like AI right now is taking over everything. And a lot of people think like, oh, AI is going to take over and I'm not going to have a job. No, the person using AI is going to take over. So now you have to become the person, well, how do I infuse technology in what it is that I do? This is what we get to lay out in the discovery. Lay out all of those things like, where am I going? Where am I headed? What's stopping me from getting there? Because a lot of times we just kind of sit and rest it here like, oh, I need $1 million to do that idea and I'll never be able to do it. And then next thing you know, I'm asking people like, hey, how many of you guys got the vision or the deal that you know that would change everything? I got the deal. I got the deal. So many rooms I walk into, like, oh, I got the deal. I got the deal. Jessica, you need to hear about this real estate deal. We got the deal that's going to change everything, right? And then I'm like, cool. Well, how long have you known about that deal? Oh, I've known about a couple months. Very rare. I've known about a couple years. People are sitting on deals, dreams, and visions for decades. And they're like, where do I start? Well, in your discovery, this is where you lay out what you have to get started. So my background is in real estate, and I'm going to refer to real estate a lot because it's the easiest, most tangible way to showcase what I'm talking about without, like the whole ambiguity of, people say it's like, oh, it's woo-woo, it's just encouragement. No, it's real. Okay. So we're going to go with real estate, right? So people say, hey, Jess, I want to get involved in real estate. Okay, great. I wrote a book, Real Estate Mastery. Go order it on Amazon. So we want to get involved in real estate. And I'm like, cool. What have you done? It's like, no, what have you done? You said you want to get in real estate. They said, well, I'm studying for my license. I don't know why. They say they are getting their credit together. And I say, well, what credit score do you need? And they don't even know. Or maybe they do know. And they know it may take a long time to get there. Or they may say they're saving up the money. And these are three things that of a lot of the deals that I've done, none of them have ever been a factor. For one, when I first got started as a wholesaler, I understood the premise and the power of using OPM. That's one of the main things they teach you when you walk in. Two, you leverage, OPM is other people's money. And then two, you leverage experience. So a lot of times they rely on you to have credit and these things, but what about partnering with somebody? Like that's one of the things I learned as a wholesaler. You can come in and so for example, when we were looking to get into the hotel industry, it was taking us years to try to find the perfect deal to get into the industry. And people are like, oh, I want to get into hotels. And blah, blah, blah. But then we just so happen to be coming up upon a recession and you so happen to have someone about to lose their portfolio. Now, is it a better deal to come in fresh and raw and build from the ground up? Or can you just help someone that needs a capital infusion in their business and you can come in and bring your processes and shift and change ownership? And that way you have a cash flowing business already ready to be funded. It has business history and all of these things that stop a lot of people from getting started in their discovery zone. You already have that. And what sometimes you can just purchase a business that used to do the same thing because they got the infrastructure already figured out. They got the SOPs or the standard operating procedures already figured out. All you have to do is come in because people often look, especially people who knew me. They're like, you got a hotel? I was like, I know, because all I do is check in one, right? Like, I just want to check in one. So it's like, how did you get a hotel? Well, we partnered with people. When you start partnering with owners, you partner with the people who are already doing it. They already laid forth the thousands of dollar entry fee that you need to even get into some of these brands. A lot of times when you find someone that's ready to retire, someone that's ready to move on and transition, they have all those things set up. They just need new ownership. So in discovery, you have a brain dump and you understand, okay, well, where am I even going? So now how can I look for opportunities? And this is how you get to the next phase, which is design. Design is the next phase. Like how, now that I've organized, okay, this is what I'm building. What does what I'm building get to look like? So I go from discovering what I'm envisioning, then the design of what does it look like? Because it's one thing to say, oh, we just want pie in the sky. We want to head north. We want to do this. Great. Get it out there. But now it comes to what does it look like? And I want you to think, what does it look like with no inhibitions? Because what I found to happen, and where I always say start with your date first, is because once you set your date of what happens, you will be surprised at how the universe conspires to bring you your vision. It will be like, it feels like a Scooby-Doo back door that opens up every time where you think like, oh no, I've made it to the end. Boom. There's something right there. And I started noticing this because one of the things I learned, especially now being a mom, and I am a new mom, my baby, she's a couple months old. And especially being a mom, one thing I learned is the power of discovery and the power of really digging in and learning something new and building something from nothing. So you have to understand and what it looks like. Like I was teaching her about pattern recognition, how the sun comes up every day, the moon comes up every night, how you learn and understand patterns. So when you start to see these patterns in what it is you're envisioning and what you're building and what you're doing, you can find yourself in alignment of how to get there, and you can design what it looks like. Like it's one thing to say that you want to own 1,000 doors, but what does step one look like? Like for that person who's like, hey, I'm going to school. Well, what does it look like for the end result? Don't think about what it takes to get there. Because if your goal and your path is to own 1,000 doors, don't think, well, wait, I need to get my credit right. No, the goal is 1,000 doors, no matter how you may get there. Because it may not even require credit or may not require the things that you think it will. So that's why you want to stay in committed action. So through the design phase, you want to figure out as large as you can get that vision to go. What is it that you're looking to do? And in that, we find where is a step one that we can do. Because yes, you're going to be 1,000 doors and $10,000 rich, but we got to start with door one. And the second we do door one, we can replicate that process 10 times. And then we can replicate it 100 times. Then we can replicate it to grow the scale to 1,000. But we want to make sure we master step one. So that's where design, you want to make sure you understand, not only I discover what I'm building, I design what it gets to look like. Now, when it comes to the development of it, here is the key where most people get stuck. When it comes to the development of your vision or your idea, you need to hire the specialists that do the thing that you do. So a lot of times people's like, hey, I'm studying to get my license, or I want to do this and, all of that. No. When I go for a trip to the Bahamas, I don't want to study to get my pilot license and then go save up to buy a plane and then maybe one day drive to the Bahamas in my plane that I've spent years and years and years to try to get. No, I go hire Delta and I go pay Delta, or I go pay Spirit, or not Spirit. We want to get there, but you can actually take it to an airline that can get you to your destination. Because once you align and determine, well, this is where I even want to go. That is the power of what you did in discovery. Once you do that, it's easy to say, like, if I want to build the Taj Mahal or whatever it is that I want to build, it's easy to say, well, I know I don't know how to do that, but let me go to the people who do. I know I don't know how to build a bridge, but let me go to the people who've been building bridges for the last 80 years. And this is all they do. And this is in their family. I'm able to leverage their power, their experience. So after I discover what it is that I'm doing, I design what it gets to look like. The development of it requires calling in the necessary skill sets it takes to make it happen. Now, this was easy to do in real estate because you follow a process. You got to tear down the existing property. Then you got, soil tests and all those different things to do. But then you lay your foundation, then you put your framework. Then you enclose and close the building. It's a process that you do. So that's the same thing you do. And you call in different trades depending upon where you are in the process. So if I'm looking to get in real estate, or if I'm looking to start my vision and whatever it is that I'm looking to do, I have to press go. I have to come up with the MVP, or the minimum viable product, to at least get me started. in my new vision, in my new product, in whatever it is that I set out to do. I set a date of when it will be done by. That's Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law says the time you think it takes to do the thing is the time it takes to do a thing. So, for example, if you say it takes 10 years to become a millionaire, then guess how long it's going to take you to become a millionaire? 10 years. So you want to set a realistic date, but set a date that's going to hold you accountable. And I guarantee you'll see the people in your team or the people around you, because that's what happens. That's why I talked about the Where's Waldo. The situation never changed. I was just able to find it more clearly. Now I can more easily put my team together once I've discovered what it is I'm building. I've designed it out, and the development becomes that much simpler. I put the team together, and they make it happen. They execute. They're the experts. That's how I've been able to truncate the time on bringing big visions to life. Because I'm like, how do we now partner with the experts that need to see what it is that we're building to get us to our desired goal? Once we have that, now you're on deployment, distribution. What does it look like? What is the financial goal that's surrounded from the dream? And you see, I put what your financial goal is or what the money-making venture is behind the idea. I put that last because you want to come up with the vision first, uninhibited by money. Most times, if you try to put money in your vision, you're only going to go based on a limited resource. The limitations of where you can go, and a lot of times our minds tend to limit us to our circumstances that we can see. And this is one of the things that I had to train my brain on, is looking at the unseen, because it's so easy to see the scene. And the scene can keep you stuck, it can keep you limited, and it can keep you in scarcity. But the unseen is so abundant, and you don't even know it's there. So, for example, when I was in high school and I knew I wanted to get in media, I didn't even know there was a such thing called Emma Bowen Foundation, and that she'd been working decades to get minorities in media. So that by the time I'm in high school, I'm able to apply for the Emma Bowen Foundation. And that's what changed the trajectory of my life, being able to work in media at such a young age. That's what got me to New York, to see other opportunities. I didn't know that those opportunities would be there waiting on me. If I would have limited what I can do to what I saw, I would have only been able to do education. Because that's all my family. My family are a group of educators. Like my grandmother, she was an educator. My sister was an educator. Everybody is education. And that's the bounds of what I would have seen. Like, oh, let me be an educator. Let me take it one notch up. But I was like, I have to take this dream and this vision 10 times further beyond what I've ever seen to get a result and to get me out and catapult out of this area where I'm in of what may be the status quo of where I am. So now let me get and put myself in a different environment. That is what makes the difference. Putting yourself consistently in different environments and aligning with people that do. So when you start thinking about the delivery, what is the financial model that makes sense for what I designed? How am I going to distribute this product to generate income? Where is the money generating activity that is within this process that I've now found? This is how I think through all of the deals that I work on. I think discovery, design, development, and distribution. And that, my friends, is how I've been able to work on multi-million-dollar deals all across the globe, working with visionary leaders to get them from, I think I want to, I may want to, I might, to starting their engines. If you haven't heard, read about it. But check us out more on this channel of how other visionary leaders come and get ignited and what you can do to stay on top. As always, you know you got it. Let's get it. Let's go.